Yeah, this is a Romulan Republic character, which gets interesting because of how many Romulan traits that you associate with Romulan captains you don't always get on bridge officers. Some of these story mode bridge officers that you get for Romulan Republic have very strange traits. Anyway, so who am I using? I'm using Veril, 8 of 8, Satra, and 2 for power. Satra and Veril are two of the Romulan Republic story bridge officers. 8 of 8 and 2 for POW are things I have as account unlocks. Yeah. Human Engineer Borg. And this is the lifetime android. And of course, Veril. Yeah, I decided to go with the um, fleet mining costume for Veril because it just fits her backstory as being the daughter of a Riemann miner. Just seemed like something that would be a natural fit for Veril to wear. Bajoran costume because weird alien. Why not wear a alien uniform? Satra. She's a sciencey person, so I decided to give her the Dyson researcher costume. I also never tried that one, and not one of my favorites, but it's certainly an interesting look. And 8 of 8, which is, if you must know, I was going with changing the color scheme to look like the Mercy character from Overwatch because I felt like it. Yeah, I felt like it's pretty much the only explanation I can give for that one. Is I don't really remember the logic of why I wanted to do that on this character, other than the fact that the Red Angel suit is winged, and but you can't give the wings to your bridge officers, so the whole Angel thing's a bit again standard Borg stuff. Borg nanites, Borg neuroblast. The Borg nanites thing, like you saw on the other character, really good defensively. Efficient, whatever. Not a ground scope. Okay, so this one has a shield reinforcement network, which okay, it's basically just a turret that gives you shield buff, but you know it was an interesting idea. And of course, I did gave this one shield recharge, medical generator, and turret fabrication. Slightly different, but something that bridge officers can handle reasonably well. Can you count on them to put the turrets in a good location? No, but you can count on them to use the turrets. Lex throwing knives because I had one laying around. Satra. Yeah, this is an elite bridge officer. Here's a fun thing about elite bridge officers that are science, anyways. It's probably a bug, but if you look in the Science Bridge Officer ground abilities, you will see Dampening Field 1 twice. Why? Because one of these is the Bridge Officer ability that's one of the skills that you slot here. The other one is a Captain ability that you don't see here at all. You only see one copy of Dampening Field 1 here because the other one is an innate passive that Satra now has that she will use without having it slotted as one of her ground abilities. That's fun. It effectively gives her 5 ground abilities, just being an elite bridge officer. That I like. One of those things that I just like didn't realize at first until I didn't like 2 or 3 ground missions. So I was like, wait a second. My bridge officers are using dampening field. Why? Anyway, so this character, because she has a theme of Romulan mining stuff, it's like she doesn't wear Romulan Republic uniforms, Romulan Star Empire uniforms, or any uniforms, really, honestly. My bridge officers have all sorts of weird, random costumes. Okay, so some of them have whatever uniform they came with, but a lot of them also have just, things that you would expect a civilian who works on a mining ship to wear. And that's kind of fits with the logic here, I guess. I don't know. But um, this means that I also didn't do stuff like using the standard plasma weapons. I went with stuff that fits the whole random mining stuff thing. So for Satra, I gave her isolytic plasma because one of Satra's traits gives her bonus plasma weapon damage. So if I'm going to give her a ranged energy weapon, I might as well give her a plasma weapon because she gets bonus damage for it. And again, Superior Stasis Specialist. This is something that I think Satra was the first bridge officer in the entire game to have the ability, have the trait Stasis Specialist. I don't think it existed prior to the Legacy of Romulus expansion. And why one of the bridge officers on Sekoth has it, I have no idea. I could go to the Romulan embassy and look at the bridge officer assortment to see if any of the ones listed have it at present. Kind of old. Anyway, peak health, bonus hit points, and toxic damage resist is something that comes up very, very rarely, but Plague, Romulan story missions, you have to defeat the Alachi, and some of the Alachi do use toxic abilities. Those stupid drones that create a gas cloud around them. The gas is toxic damage, if I remember correctly. So, um, yeah, Superior Romulan Operative, that's a space ability, but whatever. Anyway, skills. Nanite Health Monitor. Why? Because of the fact that it's just one of the best um, science heals you can give to a bridge officer. They target someone with it. They will target whoever they happen to feel like. It's the rhyme and reason of why they choose a target for Nanite Health Monitor is kind of sus, but they will use it quite often. Exothermic redistribution. I decided to test this one out, and I haven't actually had an opportunity to watch Satra use it enough to be sure whether it's good or not. Um, Honestly, I'd rather have endothermic induction field, but whatever. It is an interesting thing, and the tooltip on it at least claims that it does a significant amount of damage. Because, like, you can say it's like, oh, it's only 370 damage. Oh, that's nice. 370 damage once per second for 5 seconds. That is 1,500 total damage, and it's being done to two different targets, the primary target and one secondary target. Although one of them takes cold damage, the other one takes fire damage. Whatever. We don't have endeavors for fire damage and cold damage, but hey, if we did, that would be useful. Seismic agitation field. Why? Because it's actually one of my favorite event kit modules. Like I was saying earlier about how the damage seems relatively low until you realize that it's an AoE and everything in the AoE takes that amount of damage every second, but this one lasts 20 seconds, not 5, 20. And also, it can knock your enemies down, uh, which prevents them from attacking temporarily. Also, a really, really good thing. Why I gave her electromagnetic field, I'm not sure. I think it's because of the fact that there's like 4 different things here, and oh, also, these actually can trigger. Well, okay, this one I think is sits here solely because of the stasis specialist thing. It roots enemies, it slows them. But root and slow are both part of the stasis specialist thing. Okay, so moving on to two for power. What I was saying about innovative, it's basically a buffs turrets, call it good. Now Veril is different. Veril, I put in temporal operative powers, which is the same selection of temporal operative powers on that other character on Sekoth's build because I like these. Slow enemies, pull enemies, and here's one that just does damage to them, which uh, part of me wants to say there's some trick that causes us to do a lot more damage than it claims it does, but I'm really not sure. Anyways, though. All right. Well, that's all of the bridge officers of this character. Now I'll switch again. But yeah, if you guys have any requests for talking about a certain aspect of doing bridge officer builds, let me know.